Okay, so I am so excited to be talking to Katell from Reverielane. And fun fact, you were my first design mentor long time ago, like 4 years
Yeah.
ago. So yeah, that's crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
exactly why I wanted to talk to you again, because I'm doing these interviews to just kind of give advice and talk about
Yeah.
running a creative business. And you were one of the first people who shared that type of stuff with me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just crazy how time
Yeah,
has
that's very
flown by.
exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw you were doing that, it made me so happy because, it's kind of like giving, what did it say? That, like when you pay for somebody and they pay forward and pay
Mm-hmm.
forward, it just makes me so happy to see that.
Yeah.
It's so important, I think, for us to
Mm-hmm.
help, the people that are starting and sharing what we know, what we've learned. So good job. I mean, and good job, like 4 years ago, I think when we did this, like where you've come since then, that's just phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
And
exciting.
yeah. Okay, so first I want to start with an icebreaker question. So what font or typeface are you obsessed with
Mm,
right now?
that's a that's a
It's
that's a dangerous question.
yeah.
I'm gonna try to pick just one. I think it's called Voyage. I think that's what
Uh-huh.
it's called. I
Mm-hmm.
really like that one right now. There's another one I can think of its name right now, but I love how it's strong, but it's so proud of its curves at the same time. I love it. I think of
Mm-hmm.
it a very beautiful, elegant, confident woman.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to use it on everything.
that's from VJ Type, right? I think.
I think so. Yeah, I'm trying
Yeah.
to think now where it's from. It's so
Yeah, I
pretty.
think that's who it's from. All of their fonts are amazing.
I know.
Um, yeah, so I'd love for you to share a little bit more about how you got started as a designer
Mhm,
and doing branding for people. And yeah, when did you figure out that you wanted to do design, and when did
mhm.
you decide to make it a business?
So I started design. Well, I started branding, and we've just logo only. Remember back then how we did that about 10 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved to the U.S. from France, and well, let's go back a little bit. I didn't go to school for design. I went to school for international project management. But when you do that degree, they try to teach you a little bit of everything that you will touch as the project manager. So
Mm-hmm.
branding and graphic design is one of them. You need to have some knowledge of it. And I loved it so much. I loved that class. I thought it was so cool. And I've always loved creativity. So it wasn't just out of the blue. So when I moved to the US, I didn't feel like I wanted to go straight into project management. So I decided to explore the branding side of things and just start learning more about it. And so that's how it started about 10 years ago. And I just absolutely loved it and fell in love with it and felt like this has all the things I love. It has project management. It has, creativity. It has finding solution. It has everything. So I really, really loved it. I can't say that design is the thing I've fallen in love with. I think for me, it's finding creative solutions, or creativity being a solution driver. That's what I love about this. And mixing that with bringing ambitious dreams to life, to me,
Mm-hmm.
that's branding. That's running a branding business. So and in design, obviously right now is my favorite way to make that happen. So that's not how I started doing design and branding. And then about, I think 7 years ago now, I decided, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to make this a business, my own business. I'm not just going to work for other people's clients. I'm ready to have my own client, take that responsibility because I take it very seriously. And I'm ready. And I haven't looked back since. I love it. And it's only been, climbing. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
it started.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just I don't know. I mean, you've been doing it for a long time.
Yes.
Do you feel that
Yes.
way?
speak about it. When I talk to people about it, that's when I realized, wow, yes, it's been 10 years. And then I go
Mm-hmm.
through my archives and I look at the logos from 10 years ago. Yes, it's been a while. But I don't feel like, oh, it's been too long. I'm so sick
Mm-hmm.
of it. And I think the reason why I don't feel that way is because I never just picked one type of client to work with. Well, one type of industry, because I know that
Mm-hmm.
would have just driven me crazy to just only work with, I don't know, ice cream makers, random.
Mm-hmm.
If I only worked with ice cream makers, only created those, I would have run out of energy and creativity, and that would have felt like it's been too long, after 2 years
Yeah.
probably. But because it's always new, it's always learning about somebody new, somebody's dream, or a new way to tackle this industry, which I don't know, so I have to go study. And there's a little bit of that learning each time. Because of that, it doesn't feel like it's been so long. And then when you first start, at least with me, when I first started, I was working with people that were also starting. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I've been doing this for 10 years, I'm working with people who've been doing this for 10 years too. So
Yeah.
different conversations, different techniques, and that really fuels, innovation. And
Mm-hmm.
because I don't feel like it's been too long yet. Ask me again in a little bit. We'll see. I'm still
But
good.
yeah. But yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And that's like one of the things that I didn't want to start my own business necessarily in the beginning, but looking back, I think about whenever, like, the internship that I had in school, I worked for like a big brand, and I was only there for like a year and a half, but like I was just creating the same stuff over and over again, and
Yeah.
it was really boring. It didn't feel creative anymore. It felt like I was just, yeah, a pixel
And
pusher, I
that's
guess. Or
horrible. Isn't that horrible
yeah,
to do a creative job and not feel like you're being creative? And that's what
yeah,
I didn't want.
yeah.
I I would suffocate feeling that way. And a year and
Hmm.
a half is a long time
Yeah,
to be doing
yeah.
something, you don't like.
Hmm. Yeah. So whenever you started, and like during those early years of running your business, were there any mindset blocks that you ran into, or struggling with imposter syndrome, all of that stuff? What
Yeah.
what was really difficult for you, and how did you get over it?
I mean, I want to say all about it, and not to put myself down, but I feel like I had all the mindset issues that you could have. I
Hmm.
think, I mean, imposter syndrome, definitely, for many reasons at different levels. I mean, I I was an immigrant. I still am immigrant. So I definitely felt like, oh, am I going to belong? I wasn't a
Hmm.
graphic designer per se. Should I even be taking people's money to do this?
Hmm.
This kind of feeling. There was just and when I started the business, wondering, am I ready to fully take on those people? So there were different mindsets, and then also just money mindset, always there. I grew up in the Ivory Coast in Africa, and my family wasn't very wealthy. I mean, we were poor. So money mindset, like scarcity, lack, and all that, you don't realize how much it affects you until it's time to spend money, big
Hmm.
money, and ask for big money. That's when you realize, oh, should I ask them for that much? Is it worth that much? Oh no, they shouldn't spend that much. Like weird things
Hmm.
like that. So pricing at first was interesting. I've
Hmm.
come a long way with that, but all those different things I had to really. And it's not that I didn't believe all these things. Sometimes with mindset, you believe these things, but then it takes a little bit more time to apply them. So when I first started, the first few years, I don't want to preach, but I would speak a lot on individuality and having your own power. And I believe all these things, and I believe them for my clients. I believe them for
Hmm.
other people. But for myself, I was just like, I didn't actually believe it. And it took me a little bit of time to get to that point where, you know what, no, I do have something great to offer. And
Hmm.
I am the right person for them. And yeah, it took a little bit of time, but it definitely, I saw a switch once I fully walked into that truth.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you feel like it was like a certain like a certain year or something that you felt like things started to click?
Mm. Maybe I would say probably maybe a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
just that far into it, where
Yeah.
I fully, because sometimes I would get um, reviews or testimonials, or people would introduce me and they would say things about me. I'm like, is that me? Am I really, is this how people view me? I had such like a disassociation between how people viewed me and how I viewed myself. And I think a few years ago, I finally merged the two and realized I am that person. Yes, I have, my clients love me. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because I do this. That's true. And it's not even that I didn't know it already. It's just I needed to walk into it. I needed to act like I knew it. And I saw a change. Like, for example, I decided to completely, and even like simple things like my accent, like little things like that. I would feel super insecure about it. So I wouldn't want to get on calls. But then when I realized that's just the outside almost, but the
Mm-hmm.
words I'm saying are more important than how I'm saying them,
Mm-hmm.
then I would get more on calls and I would sell more. And there's different things like that. Then that means we would be able to charge more. So just little moments like that I started seeing, okay, when I make an effort to walk into it, I see a change, and I fully embraced it. And I would say maybe 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's so interesting that you would like be self-conscious about some of those things. And I feel like that's how it always goes, is like the stuff that we're
Mm-hmm.
most concerned about. We think, oh, someone's going to notice this and then they're not going to want to work with me. But typically they aren't. Either they're not
Mm-hmm.
really noticing it or it just doesn't matter to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. But it took, and I knew that, right? I knew all that. I would
Yeah.
say that to people, but I, when it came to me, to myself, I didn't practice it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like with lots of like young people who are just starting, um, that's what they kind of like wonder, how long is it going to take me before I start making good money, or how long is it going to
Mm-hmm.
take before I am an expert or I feel really confident. That's why I wanted to ask if there was like a certain number of years, because I felt like for me it was like maybe like 3 years in was
Mm-hmm.
whenever I finally started to feel confident. um, and I feel like it's just kind of like feeling comfortable in your skin
Mm-hmm.
as a business owner or something. You kind of
Yeah.
have to like, I don't know, it's just really weird how you tell yourself for a long time like, oh, I'm just sort of faking this right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
They're
like,
gonna know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the same. I would say, yeah. Once I started the business, I think within 2 or 3 years into it, that's when I started
Mm-hmm.
realizing, you know what? And I think it comes also with your portfolio and the people you work with. When you start looking back at those people, these people have said yes to me. That's how
Mm-hmm.
you start to think, okay,
Yeah.
maybe then the me has some value, more
Mm-hmm.
value than I think. I think
Yeah.
I created this work.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is there anything that you wish you would have known before you started, or like really big mistakes that you made that you wish you could have
Once again,
avoided?
I made a lot of mistakes. And see, I don't want to say I love making mistakes because that's ridiculous, but I don't mind making mistakes
Yeah.
because I love to try and I don't
Yeah.
want to ever lose that. So mistake, cool. Let's move on. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Enneagram 8 too. So to me, it's just I will tell you I made a mistake. So you have no power in telling me, hey, look, you made a mistake. So that's done, right? So I don't mind talking about it. I think what I would what I wish I knew and what I would say to people starting is don't try to do all the things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Really, when I started, I felt like I looked at the people that I wanted to be like, where I wanted to get, but I didn't look at all the years they already had been in business. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this person has this and this, and they have a shop and they have clients and they also do this. And I'm like, well, I want to do all these things. This is where I want to go. I'm going to reach for the stars, right? And that is a mistake. That is a big mistake. Trying to do everything at first. You cannot do it and you will do it wrong. Not because you're not capable later of doing it, but right now you can't do it. You have to master one thing at a time. And that's what I needed to really learn. And being also a visionary and a very high drive person, that's hard to hold back sometimes on ideas you have, but it's so worth it to just realize one thing at a time, master one thing at a time. Take your time. So, and because of, I made different mistakes throughout, and I think that was always the root of it.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it kind of ties in with everything, especially with designers, thinking about like offering every type of service and putting everything you've ever done in your portfolio. We just kind of, you feel like I have to, I don't know, overshow and like overserve. Otherwise people aren't going to work with me. But that's really, doing something like that, it sets you up to be more likely to not enjoy what you're doing, or to like be less confident, because if you're doing all the things, you're not going to be doing them as well, and then you're going to be like, oh well, this work isn't good, so I must not be good at all. But really it's just like you're doing too much.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like I remember probably like year 2 of business, not because I wanted it, but because people kept asking, do you do website? Do you do website? And I said, yes, I'll fine, I'll do it. Have a feeling, you know, because you keep asking, I'll do it. And that was a big mistake in year 2. That doesn't mean that now we do, oh, this just out. Scared me. Now we do offer it, and we do offer it the right way because we've mastered the base already. But back then I just was like, oh, I'll do it, fine. You know, that feeling. And it wasn't, I hated it, and I don't think the product was good, and in the end it made me feel like I just didn't want to do it. It was too much, and I put everything in that same bag of I hate it, instead of like, no, this is just one thing you've added that's not working, take it down. So once I took it down and I said no to people, I don't do this right now, maybe in the future, check back later. And once we added it, it was the right time, and it felt good. And you know, now it's what makes the most money for the business, you know. But back then, if you had told me I would do it today, and it would be the case of, no, please don't even talk to me about websites. I hate that. I've tried. I don't want ever to touch it again. But it's just because I was trying to do it all at the same time. And that doesn't work this way. It doesn't work this way.
Yeah. It's a tough thing in the moment to accept, because you just feel like if you're not doing all the things, that somehow you're like behind. But it's really totally the opposite, I feel like. But yeah, it's just a hard thing to figure out. I feel like you don't figure that out until you realize, oh, I'm doing too much now, I need to cut something out. That's where it's like you have to learn from mistakes.
You do.
In that area.
That's why I love mistakes.
Yeah.
That's why I love mistakes, because you're not going to know you cannot have more food on your plate until you've served yourself. It's just the way it is. And it's I mean, I don't mind it, but I can see how with some personalities and some people, that's just a very sad thing, because you can feel like a total failure when it's just that one thing that is a failure. So that's one thing I would tell myself. If you fail at one thing, don't think you are just a failure. Just let go of that thing and keep doing what you know how to do already. And it's hard sometimes to balance those two things.
Yeah. I love that. That's a really good piece of advice, because I feel like, especially like lots of young designers that I've talked to, whenever, you know, they send out a proposal and the client says no or something, it can be really easy to get caught up in that, like, oh, like, what did I do wrong? You know,
nobody
but
would ever say yes.
Yeah. But it's just,
but it's not true.
Yeah, that's really good. And so your business has changed a little bit over the past few years, because your husband joined you being a business partner. So tell me what that was like. You know, was that something that did you guys always want to work together, or did you slowly make that decision? And like, yeah, how has that gone?
I mean, I remember when we were dating, we'd say things like, oh, we could just, dreaming when you're young and naive and in love, dreaming we could, be home all day, work from home, and then go to the beach in the afternoon and teach we had those just giant dreams. And then life happened and you're like, wow, do you remember when we thought of this? This is crazy. This is what we're doing now. But that was years ago we were thinking that. And then we got married, and then he got a regular job, and then I started freelancing. It's just was so far away from this. I could never have imagined we would get there. So did we ever talk about it? Yes. Not that we would start a company together or a business together, but we dreamt of working from home together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way we got here is because for the last, I want to say 3 years, last 3 years have been insane. For the last 3 years, I felt like the business needs to grow. It's stagnant. I'm starting to feel it. If you want to serve more people, if you want to impact more people, something needs to happen. Everybody tells you, grow your team, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they tell you. So I try to grow my team because that's what they tell you. I try to hire people. I mean, I try to hire everything, like VA. I try to hire OBM. I try to hire designers. I try to hire different things, and it just wasn't. And once again, I'm telling you this, probably in a year, I'll tell you, we've grown our team. We have a designer because it will be the right time. Mm-hmm. Then it was not the right time, not the right people, not the right, and so that didn't work. It was more stressful. I wasn't a good leader. I don't think I was ready to release. People have a hard time committing. I knew that, but I didn't know until I asked them to commit to things. And as you know, being a creative, there is a certain DNA to your business that also you have to teach. So all these things weren't working. So I started thinking, well, I will never, the big never always statements. I will never be able to grow my business because I can't grow my team. And I had to say, you know what, pause. I'm stopping this. This isn't the right thing for me. It's not the right time. I need to rethink this. While this was happening, John was already running a business with his brother. But he would come for certain projects with websites, development, and things like that. It would be kind of in and out. So we had already gone through the hard times of yelling at each other at 3 a.m. because it's launching at 9 a.m. situations. So we had already done that and got out of our system, thankfully. So when he joined, that was over with. I feel like something else is going to fall. I'm like nervous. I keep hearing a little tape and taping. So when the time came I think it was in September last year, so almost a year now, well, a year, where the idea just sparked. It just felt easy to say, yeah, let's do it. I think we can do it. It's just one step further, but it felt scary because then Reverie, which was like I don't want to say my hobby, but my little thing would become the family thing. And that's like a money making source, so that was very scary to make that. But I think the transition now, almost a year into it, it was worth it. It was the right thing to do, and it's working well. And with such different personalities, like right away for me, it was like, let's set the highest financial goal we can reach. Like, let's go crazy. So if we don't reach it, I feel like we tried for the hardest, and this is what we made, So, but he has a little different personality than me, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna make that goal. So see, I wasn't totally crazy in the end. But I can't remember your question. I feel like I went on a crazy rant, but being almost a year into it now, in October will be a year, it definitely was the right thing for Reverielane to do.
Yeah. And how's that been with obviously now you guys both get to work from home, and of course that is what everyone's been having to do lately. But you guys have kids too, and I'd love for you to talk about, obviously you were having to juggle your business and being a mom for a while before your husband joined on, but how has that been for you guys? And like, Have you,
I
I'm
mean,
sure that nobody really ever finds like perfect balance with that, but
yeah,
yeah,
I'm here to tell you that's not a thing. Balance is not a thing. Balance when you deal with yourself is not a thing, but when you deal with other human beings, definitely not.
yeah.
I don't look for balance. I always tell my kids, because I homeschool my kids. You know, I'm a home educator on top of this. I'm crazy. I always tell people, don't necessarily follow my example. This is my 4th year homeschooling, so
Wow.
it's not the first. It's this whole 2020
Hmm.
mess. I feel like I've been preparing for it.
Yeah, I was gonna
So,
say you were more prepared than anyone.
so I've been doing this already for almost 4 years. But once again, it's timing, it's seasons. When I first had my first son, well, when I had my son, a son and a daughter, it it would have been very difficult to
Hmm.
do what we're doing right now. I wasn't ready. I hadn't developed the capacity, the range, the bandwidth. You grow and you develop, what I'm doing today. All that I'm doing today, I could never have done that 4 years ago, for example. So back then, like, I had a nanny, like she would come in the morning, I would work, very dedicated time. Um, Today, it's very different. I tell people we have ideal days, we don't have perfect days.
Hmm.
We have a setup of how we want the day to go, and we try to reach that. If we don't, no guilt, because there's a lot going on. We need grace for each other. Our kids, honestly, they're part of the business because they understand, because they've grown like this. That's all they've known. They've never had a
Hmm.
regular mom. It's always been me, the way I do it. Like, we're gonna finish math and I have to run because I have a sales call. That's
Hmm.
regular life for us. And I go in sales call, you do your writing or your reading while I do my sales call. So our life is very, I want to say we don't separate life and business, not in an unhealthy way, just because that's how it can work.
Yeah.
It was very difficult and realistic when I wanted to just have business on one side and life on one side. When I realized I'm one person and I'm all these people at the same time,
Hmm.
then there was a lot more grace and ease. So I wake up early, do a good amount of hours of work, teach them. If I have calls during that time, that's fine. I'll plan that. Afternoon, everybody's kind of a free agent. We all know that. And then evening is depending on how I feel, what I want to do. So this is kind of the ideal how it's set up, and I take one day at a time, and that's my balance: the freedom, the flexible freedom. I love that. We have
Hmm.
what we want to do. If we don't do that, that's fine. And then you have lunch times, which, it's more intense. So on
Hmm.
lunch days, for example, the kids know I'm going to be focused on this right now. Today, you can color, paint, do these things. And then the next day, I will compensate less work, just more focus on them. So that's the balance, if you will, that we have.
Hmm.
But I don't try to, like, I don't know. I don't know what other people do. I couldn't even tell you. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nice because your kids are a little bit older. How old are they?
5 and 7, almost 8.
Yeah. So they're like, yeah, like you said, it's like they understand
They
when you're
understand, yeah.
working. Yeah.
And when they were little, it was different.
Hmm.
I and I'm sure in a couple of years we'll also switch up a little bit. It always changes. But we had a nanny when they were very little, because
Yeah.
I really wanted them to have attention all the time. Not when I couldn't give them attention, I wanted somebody there to give them attention. And we only
Yeah.
had a nanny for like I think she came twice a week, like in the
Hmm.
morning. So it wasn't a ton of time. But also I could say I was probably working part-time back then.
Yeah.
So, but I needed to be okay with that, knowing that it was a journey, a long run thing.
Hmm.
And during that season, that's what I needed to do, because in another season, I would do something else.
Yeah.
And that's something, yeah, I had to learn. You can't, it's once again, the same thing. You can't do everything all the time. You got to know that it's a marathon.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's good to know. I like that because I mean we're not planning on having kids soon, but I'm always trying to
Mm.
think of like how am I gonna manage both things? Like how am I gonna find again, I don't want to say
Balance.
balance
There
because
you say
it's
balance.
not real. But yeah, how
You'll
am I
find
just
you'll be all right. You know what? Because you've set up your business. You're planning for it, even
yeah,
not knowing. Maybe you're planning for it
yeah.
because you'll have things in place that are not going to require you, and
Mm-hmm.
you can step back during those times. And so you're already doing better than I am. You're saying the business first, and then you'll have kids. I did all of it at the same time. I had children and grew the business at the same time. So it was probably a slower pace compared to other people. But once again, I want to have this business for many years, not just 3 intense years of growth,
Yeah. Yeah.
So you'll look great. And you seem to be so calm and you have it in you.
Yeah. Well, I feel like maybe I've already had some mini training just with how our lifestyle, we have to be flexible all the time and be okay with things not going according to plan and like just kind of going with the flow. So yeah, so maybe that's been some good practice for me to just like, we've gotten used to maybe my husband's team will tell us we have to move next week and we just
Yeah.
pack things up and we go and we don't we don't worry
You don't look
about
back.
that ruining plans. Yeah, so maybe
Yeah,
that's been some good practice of just yeah, being flexible and
definitely. Yeah.
being okay with having to deal with that type of stuff.
And you've already been kind of that muscle of being transparent with your clients, telling them this is what I
Yeah.
can do, this. So that's big one.
Yeah.
That's the
And
fear too sometimes.
and I feel like that's been something that, because I assume that you work mostly with women. Would you say
Yeah, a
that's
few
right?
men. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
through the years we've had more men, but right now in this season, yeah, more women.
Yeah. And I feel like I've worked with lots of clients who are moms, and it's always fun to watch them juggle it, where I've done calls with a client and they're, holding their baby while we're talking about business. And I don't know, I think that's something that has made me, I guess, feel a little bit more at ease thinking about like, how am I going to juggle those things? But it's like, there are so many more women now who are doing the same thing. And it's like, have you felt that way, that there's just kind of, lots of entrepreneur moms who get it and are supportive of each other?
I mean, I've never held my baby in a call, but thankfully, but I've had my baby wake up in the middle of a call when they were taking a nap, and I had to turn off the monitor, and I'm dying inside because I know the baby's crying, waking up, but I'm also being on a call. So I've been in that situation, but I gotta say that at first I would try to hide it because I felt like that was unprofessional. But quickly, you know what, guys, I'm still going to do the best work for you, but this is my reality right now. Sometimes I'm designing your brands and I'm cuddling with my baby at the same time. And you're still gonna get the best brand. It doesn't take anything away from it. So once I felt, okay, I just need to just tell people when things are happening. I need to tell them, I need to be transparent. There's a lot of freedom that came with that. And I think maybe it's because I work mostly with women, and I can just tell them, and even if they don't have kids, they do have a certain grace and understanding. And maybe that's why it's been easy for me. If I worked, with men, mostly it would have been different. I don't know. But I think you're right. There are a lot of moms and they definitely understand. And even when they're not moms, women in general just have compassion for it. Yeah. So that's been nice. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And so looking back on your business and everything, is there anything that you've done, that like a change that you made or something that you feel like made a really big impact, or like something that's made you really proud?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I see I should take the time to think more and reflect more. But I'm just go all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I reflected enough. Probably not enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think early in the business, so this is something I'm both proud of for myself and just proud that the business has done, is that I've realized I don't need to become famous, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need for my name, not that I if it comes, I'm gonna be like, oh no, or something. Not famous like a celebrity, but I'm saying like I feel like a lot of people now just it's their name has to be known. I want to impact the people that will impact the world. From the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, that's what I've wanted, and that's still what I want. That's still how we align, with John joining the business. So to me, I've been so proud that I've been able to do that. I can say that I've designed a brand, or I work with this person, and then they've gone and they've done what they said they would do. They've changed a business or a community, or they've joined this team, and that is thanks to something we created together, a vision that we had together and we put to life, and that allowed them to do what they wanted to do. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always super proud when that happens, because then I feel like, okay, I'm living on purpose, that's what I want. And it makes me very happy. So that's probably what I'm proud of, like certain instances when I can see the connection of something we created with someone that opens such big doors for them. I don't need to walk through that door. I just need to know that they've worked through that door thanks to the work we've done. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the moments that I'm just the proudest. And I'm also just proud that we've built, I mean, with John not here, but like even before he came, we've built this business, or I've built this business the way I wanted it to be built.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
built the business to work for my life. I didn't want to, it was hard through the years to see other people do things a certain way. And I had to just stick to no, because I want to get to this point. I need to keep building in this way. So I'm very proud that this business almost cannot be for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's built for my life. And I've realized that I'm a human being that has a life and a business and all that stuff. So I built it around that, like on my own terms, I like to say it. And I'm very proud of that. And then to have my husband join, I mean, that was, at first I didn't see it as something to be proud of. I was just scared and thinking, are we regressing? What are we doing? But
Mm-hmm.
talking with more people, how I would get even on sales calls and people would tell me, wow, I want to get there too. And I would think, oh, that is something to be proud of,
Mm-hmm.
to get to the point where something I built, I created because I moved to America and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life yet. And then in turn, and like it's supporting our family, and we're able to donate and give money to from there. That I think I'm proud of that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Yeah.
So I think probably I would say that.
No, that's really good. And yeah, I like how you said, it's your business. It's not for anybody else. Like everything about it is, built for you
Mm-hmm.
specifically. And yeah, I love that. I feel like it's, um, like you said, it's hard to see what other people are doing and feel like, oh, my business needs to be that way. Like not thinking about other people's version of success and thinking that's what
Mm-hmm.
you should be doing too. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, having, catering your business to the lifestyle that you want. I mean, that's the real route to being happy. I feel like, and
Yeah.
it's funny because that's what most people go into entrepreneurship thinking, like that's the goal. I want to
Mm-hmm.
have, the lifestyle that I want. But then you get so caught up in what other people are doing and you sort of lose that.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also it depends on I think what type, and I think a lot of people don't know what type of business they want to build.
Mm-hmm.
So they go into it, so everything that comes in, or if they see a little bit of a sparkle somewhere, they think they need to go there because they don't have a vision of what kind of business. I knew I wanted to build a business that would have a legacy, something that would last a long time. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't just need to make lots of money quickly.
Yeah.
And I had the luxury to not worry about that because John had a regular job when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that was, a different situation. But I wanted for it to last a long time, to be able to impact a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I realized that I need to set my own pace and follow it, and I will get there. I didn't need to rush. And I think that's probably, if I had some advice to give, it would be, it's just to ask yourself, what kind of business do you want to build? And there will be some trade-offs, like there's some things you have to give. Like I said, my kids don't have a normal mom, for sure. That's something that I had to trade up. I'm not the mom. I don't know. I can't even think of what a normal mom does, but
Mm-hmm.
what normal moms do, I probably don't do that with them. So that is a trade-off. But at the end of the day, it's I'm building the business I want to build because I knew what business I wanted to build. I know that sounds
Yeah.
very weird, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just, if you go into it without knowing that, it's just going to be very difficult. You're going to change all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that would have been very difficult for me to not know that from the beginning, because I've cried, I've shed tears seeing other people going
Mm-hmm.
faster than me or going
Yeah.
further than me, and
Yeah.
and thinking, well, they don't have kids, and or I don't know what I would say at the time, but some of those people, they're not even doing business anymore at this
Mm-hmm.
point, because that was 7 years ago, that was 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not celebrating that they're not doing business anymore, but I'm just saying, if you just look at that one time in that one snapshot in time, and you don't know where you're going, it can be very depressing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But I can see that I know you said you didn't want, I know 4 years ago when we talked about that, you said that you didn't want to start a business and you weren't sure, but you still know, you knew what you wanted to do though, as far as creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like for me, I did not want to be a business owner. That was the last thing I wanted to do. But I was just kind of put in a situation where that's what I had to do. And being a business owner and making money those weren't my goals. My goal was just to be a designer. I didn't care how I was going to be a designer. I just wanted to be a designer because that's what I love to do. And it just turned out that running my own business was kind of the only option I had
Mm-hmm.
to do that. But yeah, and it worked out. but
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that was confusing to think about. And since that is like how I started, um, I would see other people who being the business owner was like, that was their passion. And of course, you see people who are talking about making $1 million and,
Six
having,
figures.
yeah, or six figures even. And like, I don't know, it can be tough when you watch people doing that and you kind of, yeah, you start to like define being a business owner with those metrics, I guess.
Yes.
But it's like I think of people who are making crazy amounts of money, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, maybe that's what I should be striving for. But then I'm like, but the stuff that you have to do to get to that point, that's not the stuff I want to do. I
Yeah.
don't want to have a big team. I don't want to be doing Facebook ad strategy and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Stuff is not for me. So
Mm-hmm.
then I have to
Yeah.
sort of bring myself back, like, okay, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to have that goal.
Yeah. What do you think grounded you though? Like, so when you would see these things and you could identify what you were supposed to do, what do you think kind of kept you grounded on continuing on your own journey?
Mm-hmm. I guess just knowing that like that's not why I started.
Mm-hmm.
I guess yeah, that's not what really mattered to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I knew that I could be just as happy, making
Yeah.
$50,000 or less
Yeah.
than that
Yeah.
as
If you
as
were
I would
creating
be.
the work you wanted to create.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think for me, just like working on the projects I want to work on, that's what's really the most important to me. Of
Yes.
course, making more money is nice, but
It's
yeah,
a
that
it's a
wasn't,
happy consequence.
yeah.
I guess I totally agree with you, and
Mhm.
I felt that way. Like, should I be more intense about business? I've asked
Mhm.
myself, like, should I be more obsessed about this? Because I don't feel this way. I just want to work with the people I want to work with.
Yeah.
It feels very like naive. I'm walking into this business
Mhm.
world. I just want to create. I
Mhm.
just want to help people. And I think sometimes people are like, yeah, right. You want to serve people. That's really how I feel, though.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, making money is great. We need money to live. I totally understand that. But like you're saying, it's just working on the projects. It's just that's what brings me joy. It's
Mhm.
just, and whenever I've had a coach, they would tell me, you need to charge more. And I would think, oh no, am I going to basically price out the people I want to work with? That's the
Mhm.
first thing I would think. Now, like, oh, yes, and we could make this amount of money and this amount of money, and I've grown through that because you have to also be a good business owner,
Yeah.
like set financial goals and stuff. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's just, I get just so excited when I see projects come in and I'm like, oh, that's what
Mhm.
gives me joy and excites me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think because there was something I was gonna say. Oh, I guess I was just gonna say that. Yeah, like um, the pricing stuff, and I know that was one of the things that you helped me with. And I remember you telling me just about like raising prices and stuff because I was not charging. I was barely charging anything
Yeah.
whenever I started. But I remember you telling me how, like, if I think you told me if you get 3 clients in a row, raise your prices. That
Yeah.
was something that was really difficult for me to do because, like you said, I was like, oh, well, people aren't going to pay me if I raise my prices,
Mhm.
you know, even just
and
thinking if I
and your
raise my
work was so
prices.
good already. As I kept telling you, your work is so good already. Like, just go up. You can totally afford to go up. People
Mhm.
would yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we talked about too was the personal project thing.
Mhm.
I think back then that's what we talked about, and because I think you were saying there was kind of a misalignment between the people that would come to you and the people you want to work with, and
Mhm.
doing personal projects and things like that. And that's how I grew my business too.
Mhm.
I've booked so many things by posting things that had nothing to do with an actual project that I had worked on.
Mhm.
Funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny because yeah, that's one of the big things that we talked about, and I'm still doing that.
I'm still
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah,
10 years
it's
in, I'm still doing that.
yeah. No, it's the best. And I think that that also speaks to just the fact that it's like that's where that's where your priorities are, is
Yeah.
attracting the people that you want to work
Hmm.
with. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that like
Yeah.
that's what you're putting your effort towards, is growing that area.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think I would ever. I couldn't. It's just I couldn't stop doing personal project because sometimes it's just in you. This sounds very woo woo, but sometimes it's in you as a creator, and you just don't have a project at the time that can receive that
Mm-hmm.
energy, and you need to put it somewhere else. And also helps you practice. I'm sure even surgeons go sometimes and just re-practice their stitches or something. And I think personal projects also help with that. And like after 10 years, sometimes you just like you need something fresh, and personal brand is
Yeah.
a perfect way to do that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it keeps you going, and it's just, and because I don't just, and sometimes it's just creating for creating too.
Yeah.
Let's just
Mm-hmm.
do it. Let's just get it out. It's just, I don't know, I love it so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I love it. It makes me happy whenever I see um, other designers, especially designers who've been doing it much longer than I have, who are still doing
Mhm.
personal projects. And that's just like, yeah, that makes me happy that it's just, we're creatives. This is,
Yeah.
this is what we're supposed to do. We don't have to have clients to make stuff that's
Hmm.
share worthy.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
And you can see the different types of designers too. The ones that, I don't want to sound horrible, but the ones that are more like business centric,
Mm-hmm.
that what they share, you know, it's more how much they've made or something like that. And then the ones that are more creativity or project centric, that share more, just you can see that they have personal projects going on because that's what they love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to eat, so sometimes you sell those.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels, but you can see
Mm-hmm.
the different avenues, the different types of creative businesses out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, is there anything else that any other knowledge that you want to share, or
I don't know, I feel like I've been talking so much.
I know. No, but it's all
um,
been so good. Yeah.
I don't know, I don't think I have anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I'm trying to think what else would I want to say, but
Mm-hmm.
I think we've kind of talked about everything. I think we
Yeah.
kind of align in the way, you know, the type of businesses we want to build, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's always nice to see, to
Mm-hmm.
find, you know, other people that feel that way. And it's fun to talk business too. I like talking business too, but it's nice to see that there are also people that is just more about the creativity and more about, you know, the project, and just the love for the craft, you know,
Yeah.
because it's it feels that's why I would tell people, just never stop creating for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Never stop creating for the sake of creating.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to build a business with legacy and longevity, just never stop creating. That's probably what I
Mm-hmm.
would say here.
Yeah.
My last piece of wisdom.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I feel like I remember, I feel like whenever I first started, it might have been even before we met. So it would have been like really like the first month or something that I was freelancing. And there was a blogger that I followed, but she was also a designer. And I remember reading something that she was just sort of like giving advice. And that's kind of what she said. She was like, if you don't want to do it for free, like if you're not going to keep doing it on your own, then you probably shouldn't pursue it as a business, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just not going to last that long
Mm-hmm.
if you don't really love it, and just like you'd be doing this, you know, anyways.
Regardless. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
True. Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of goes along with that too, is you got to love it.
Mm-hmm.
If
You
you want
gotta
to
love
do
it.
it, if you want to do it for 10 years, like you've been doing.
You gotta love it. Also because sometimes clients will drive you crazy.
Yeah.
And if you don't love it, client work is difficult. If you don't love it,
Mm-hmm.
it will crush you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I'm so excited for people to hear all of your wisdom and thoughts on yeah, building a business that can grow and be
Mm-hmm.
totally unique to you. I
Mm-hmm.
think, yeah, I think people are
Yeah.
gonna really love all of that advice. So thank you so much. And
Thank you.
yeah, hopefully people will go follow you and um, yeah, follow your beautiful
On
work.
my personal project.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was nice.